What's popping? What is going on, my people? I know I'll be MIA or just in action, so I don't always have time to get to you, you know, and I don't want to come to you on some half ass nonsense. But I was in transit the other day and I was listening to somebody speak, and for years and years and years, I've heard a multitude of individuals say that there is no leader to their movement. The the ideology or the mindset, right? Or the thought process is the leader. And the only thing with that is they're saying that so that way when they die, if they die, well, we all die, but they're saying if they die, what will happen is the movement won't die. And that's an understandable sentiment. That's an understandable way of going about things. The only pushback I have for that is that since there's no physical, tangible leader, who do you hold accountable for when things don't go right? I'll give you guys a prime example. We all seen what happened with Black Lives Matter, right? Where there were individuals who were put in charge of fiduciary means, the finances, and they were misappropriated, misallocated, right? Uh, that being the case, that doesn't make or mean that Black Lives Matter died. The movement didn't stop. In fact, one could claim that their last gasp, as I've been speaking on, like the power of that movement, their magic, though at apex, I see it all starting to unwind and unravel upon itself. I, a leader must be a part of the movement. A physical figurehead must be a part of your movement. There must be accountability. Because if the money had just came up missing and there was no one to be held to account, that right there would have ended that whole movement right then and there. So you can't tell me that not having a physical leader is the way that you fix the situation, or it's the way that you keep a situation alive if your leader has been discredited. The Black Panthers didn't technically die. They just became what I would consider, if you were to be and allow me a chance to speak and to explain why the real reason they don't want to be leaders is because real leaders have to make decisions. This is the real bottom line into it. A leader has to make decisions. It's not see, choices are what you have before you decide. You may not have very many choices, or you may only have what seems like one option or one choice. But the options and the choices are what you weigh out before you decide. Now, there may be a multitude of decisions that can be made or will be made given a circumstance or a particular event, but any peculiar moment, it doesn't mean that there is not accountability. We all understand this. So a leader is needed for the base by base, tit for tat, touch for touch, eye for an eye to be accountable. There is no such thing as a movement without a leader or a progenitor. Something has to put forth the energy for that to take place. I'm not really the person to tell anybody how to think or what to think. I'm the person to give them the idea of where I'm coming from. And then they can decide whether or not where they stand on the particular motion that I put forth. I'll give you a prime example. I was at work and there was a solution that that was purchased the other day, far less abrasive than natural degreasers, uh, will last a very long time. The price point was expensive to some, but in the eyes of a person like myself, this will help me to get the situation all the way under control and I can rein things in ways where I couldn't before. So my my ability to speak to the owner, me taking the stance as the lead in the kitchen, not because I want to, but because I someone has to be the leader. There has to be someone that things can be brought to. So that way, on a case by case, tit for tat, eye for an eye, right? All things can be met. If you do not have someone that you can hold to account, there is no movement. It doesn't actually truly exist. It's really an organized free for all for the sake of what they say in that moment. You're just a part of an angry mob. Oh, this is deep now. See, let me say it like this. At least individuals who will say that the people are truly indigenous, aboriginal, or whatever, most of them who say that are willing to take a leadership position. I give them that. Even if I don't agree with their entire stance on genealogy or their understanding of ancient history, antiquity, and then moving into what we consider modern history. Even if there's discrepancies between what I understand and what they understand, that doesn't change the credit that I'll give them or the discredit from someone else who I have more in common with the baseline ideology of what they believe and what I believe, but their means to accomplish and their end game goal is not what I desire. Either group, I really don't have a finite measurement in which I can say that this is where I want to go with this group or do this with these peoples. What I do know for certain is that my mind has not been changed. I'm leading the way right now on seeing the earth differently and understanding how we don't have as many days in the year as they claim we do. Because just from this year alone, I've been able to to catch the cycle and to monitor the cycle of the full moons. I have some work coming here very soon. The moon won't be full for another 2 days. Well, today's the sixth, I believe. Today is the sixth. The moon won't be full for another night. It'll be almost full tonight, mostly full. And then tomorrow night, she'll be completely full. Yes, yes. Things like that, leading the way. To say that is a movement would be an overstatement, but it is a process that is taking its course, and I am the spearhead to it. And I have had other people who are the spearhead with me, and we have developed an understanding that the days have not been properly accounted to us. That takes people calling. You have to take charge. A leader is not someone who tells other people what to do. First and foremost, a leader is show somebody is the person who shows them how it's done. Number one, that's your first job as a leader. Is I have to show you how it's done. Right. That's the baseline of everything. No leader is a leader unless they can show you what to do. Thank you very much. So if I want to tell young men how to change a head gasket, right? Depending on, the vehicle, I have to go through all these different processes. What to unhook, what type of tools they need, you know, whether they're going to need, whether they're going to want or desire power tools or not. If they have the means for all that, what can they provide for themselves right then and there? Is it a lost cause? Things like that. Um, from something much more not complicated, from that complicated to something much more simple, like how do you change your oil? You're no less a leader to show somebody something basic. And this is the problem, is that they don't realize if you're not a leader, then you don't have a movement. It doesn't exist. That's the whole point of a movement, is that it has direction. There is no such thing as collective consciousness. Everybody would agree on everything if collective consciousness was real. No one would disagree on anything. The fact that I'm even having to tell people that means that whoever is speaking to them from the point of view of not being held accountable. So they're not a leader. So it's not really a movement. You're part of some kind of crazy cult, right? Or the angry mob. Like I said, I'm the leader. I'll raise my hand. I'll lead. It's okay. I don't want to, but I will. Reluctantly, I will. But don't worry, I'll lead because I'm not going to let us go wander about aimlessly. We will have a mission at hand, objectives that will be met to accomplish and to see our mission through to success. And if it be to our detriment that every single one of us leave and perish or whatever happened, and we be destroyed, that I will hold me hold that against my soul. Curse me to hell, to the underworld. But don't ever say that I don't believe in a leader. Not believing in having leaders is like you don't have a God. Your God is your leader. Right. That's the ultimate leader. He's the number one leader. So this is the real reason they don't want to be leaders, is because they don't want to have to answer to anyone. They don't want to have any real true accountability. Think about that. How can there be justice if there's no leaders? It's a shame that it even takes place like this. It's a crying shame. But I do know that people don't feel or don't understand what's taking place. The whole entire, uh, how shall I say, struggle for the people has been a real simple struggle. It's hard, but it's simple. It's not being treated as if I'm not a person. It's really simple, right? I mean, if I have the struggle of the Afro man woman child, the black man woman child, if I have the Negroid, right, man woman child struggle confused, let me know. But if I have that correct, right on, the real reason that these guys don't want to be leaders is because they don't want to be held to account. If you want to ask the Most High God, why did he let this happen? Why did he let that happen? I'm talking about after you've read the scripture and understand that the individuals that he did everything for were completely treacherous, okay, and were seditious, and many of almost all their ways, and so many of them so that the people that were righteous, it it beckons you to answer, why didn't they just go all out and then just let the ones who were evil just take them out? So that way the Most High God would be uh encouraged to, I don't know if there's a better way to say it. That's a for a want of a greater and a much more detailed way of saying it. Um, but he would have been enraged, okay, inflamed to not feel any sort of way because there are no more righteous. The righteous are gone. Right. That's the whole way about it. Because if the people who would fight against the evil would all die, there's nothing but evil left. There's nothing left to do but to take them all out. Right. But the people who stood by and now they've watched the evil for so long, and now the evil's in a position where they have such powerful magic they can blow up the earth, it seems as. That's where they let it get to because they failed to act, because they didn't want to be leaders, because accountability was way too much. There are more people right now who would rather get a $100,000 check for what they call reparations than to actually ask the Most High God to come back and judge the whole earth with them on it and them in it. Right. I just don't understand How do we even get to this point and nobody understand it? They do not want to be leaders. The idea that they could be accused. Okay, think about this right here. They talk all this shit about Donald Trump, but Donald Trump calls himself a leader. That's why his people have never abandoned him. Right on? A movement has to have a physical entity that can be held to account. When things from that entity, when things from that movement, excuse me, have caused other people's, persons, places, or things grief or harm, or they've been mischievous, if you will, or malicious. Ah, in any way, shape, or form, any movement must have someone that can be held to account. Donald Trump is still being held to account. See, let me just ask y'all this right here. Everybody say, "Oh, well, if black people did it, they would have got shot up." But let's just say hypothetically, right? Let's say a guy like Dane Calloway, right? And I know he would never do this because he's not built like that. But let's just say Dane Calloway got 20,000 of his subs to just go stupid doo doo dumb, right? I mean, just go retarded. Check this out. If Dane tried to say that, oh well, we're indigenous people to the lands, and then we're the movement. I'm not really the leader, even though he'll half say he's a leader half heartedly. But if the people deal with you to that level and that degree, and you have their ear like that, and you say you're not a leader, then what are you? I need people to understand the gravitas of you giving someone your attention who tells you as you give them your money that they're not your leader. What are they then? They're not the thinkers. They can't be because they didn't think of the shit they're saying. I can prove it. I know it for a fact. But that not being the problem here. They're not thinkers. They're speakers. They're talkavists. You know, those who talk loud and say nothing. Even if you line up all the facts and bring a couple things together, if you fail to connect the dots, you still lost. And all you did was bring the people closer to a destruction without knowing why they're going to be destroyed. They say white Jesus as if it has any power over a person that's read the scripture. Like, like literally that term has 0% power at all. Like it has no real effective force. And yet they'll say it to you as if it's a powerful thing. I'm not a Christian. So whatever that means. Right. And apparently they've never actually read the book. They don't understand or they do understand what's in the book, and they get that they are the people that are diametrically opposed to the children of Israel opening their eyes. You know, the lost sheep of the house of Israel, those people. So when they do open their eyes eventually, and they will, some it'll be too late. Some it'll happen right soon enough, and some it'll happen way before. And my point being this is that will they have the ability to realize that they've been rebellious? And what will they do? Huh? Will they stand by? You owe the Most High God for your rebellion. This one claims to not be a leader and speaks against your God. And none of you have the good sense to find that at least awkward. And I'm not disrespecting people, but if you've heard of Tariq Nasheed and you listen to these individuals, the Tommy Sotomayor's, yeah, the Dane Callaways, the Cynthia G's, the O'Shea Dukes of the world, right? All these individuals who got the people's ear. I won't dish them all out, but they know who they are. They know I've been around, and they know I listen to their words and their works. And I always wonder, why is it that they all don't want to be leaders? I mean, you got to think about this. There's probably a dozen or more individuals who are major, who none of them claim to be leaders. It's like if you're not a leader and you take money from the people, what are you? What's popping, brother? I'm just trying to figure out what are you? If you if you if you if you aren't a leader and you're not this and you're not that, you know what I'm saying? Explain it to someone like myself who's trying to understand the because I'm pained by that. I'm pained by that. I'm pained greatly. You know what I'm saying? Greatly pained by the idea that somebody could say that they're a leader. Think about this. That's like a dude going out there and having children and being like, I'm not really a father, right? You're not? Because I could have sworn those children were yours. Well, I mean, I take care of them and I put a roof over their home, over their head, but I'm not really their father. If they go out there and do something crazy, break a window or whatever, I'm not really their father. I, yeah, I ejaculated my seed into their mother, but I'm not their father. That's how these guys sound. They don't even realize they sound that lost. That they're talking about people who you literally either are an integral part of what they're thinking and how they think, and you're literally moving that forward, and now you're trying to say that, oh well, I'm not their leader. Yes, you are their leader, whether you want to be or not. See, I lead myself. I encourage everyone else to lead themselves, and those who cannot lead themselves, then follow those that are worthy of leading. If you think a person living in a big house, it makes them worthy of leading, then follow anybody. Follow Donald Trump. Right. I mean, whatever your standards of leadership are, as far as their integral makeup and not their material provision, okay, and their accumulation thereof. If a leader is a person that has a sound mind, right, and they say things that are sound, even if they say things that you don't agree with, still sound, that's a leader. Especially if they say I can be held to account because I will let myself to be. I will hold myself accountable as opposed to being there is no leader. It's just a movement. So let's not shit on ADOS, but let's use ADOS for an example, right? Bunch of guys who claim to be ADOS go around vandalizing, tearing shit up. Okay, Yvette Carnell, Yvette, and Tone, you know what I'm saying? They can't do whatever they want to do. And yes, brother, just like the talkavists, because that's what they are. That's what they are. They're talkavists, and they can't help it. But I'm saying that ADOS would be held to account. Okay, so they wouldn't try to hold Yvette accountable and Tone. Yo, y'all are major instruments to this. Without you guys, we could claim this wouldn't even be an issue. They just would have been some confused niggers who were doing whatever they were doing. When they had nothing to do with you, though. But now we can bring you into it. That's how they do these things. So I'm always trying to figure out and wonder why am I the only person? Why am I the only person who talks on this little thing called YouTube to see that that's an issue with with all the characters? That's a major. What we have here is a failure to communicate. It has to be a failure of communication. They are telling people we're not your leaders. I mean, it's not like they're saying, "Hey, if you feel like I'm your leader, then I'm your leader." They're like, "I'm not the leader." They're straight up washing their hands of any blood before it gets there. got their hands in acetone, a little right, the little acetone water mixture, so they can. It's no 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 no. Where that alkaline powder at? Ooh, okay, there we go. Hit it with some of this protein water or this nutrient water. Get all this stuff off, and I'm good. Right. They just keep that process going. They're gonna keep the blood off their hands. FBA people. Tariq Nasheed is like, okay, he's saying that nobody. Okay, check this right here out. I tell everybody, if not for me, neither one of those movements are alive. I believe this. If not for conversations had between me and Brother Dre, y'all gonna come on. This is no joke. And the fact that we're literally in a situation where I'm like, I'll be the leader. Since there are none, I'll put myself on the podium of sacrifice, on the altar of sacrifice, since there's no one else. Don't worry, I got it. It's not my job, but it will become my job because obviously everyone else is too afraid. They're too happy and content with the life that they have to sacrifice what little it really means to set the people free. I mean, how much does your life really mean to the freedom of the people? Really, really. That's just a question that you got to answer to yourself. And that's one of those things where, you know, these FBA dudes could go out and do some crazy shit. And Tariq is like, I'm not the leader. I'm like, these guys all saying that they're not the leader. I'm saying, fuck it, I am the leader. Without me, they wouldn't have started none of it. Hold me accountable. My bad. I didn't realize that they were going to come to this little ass channel and abscond information, and people were going to take it serious. Things like tangibles. I didn't know that me going off like that, okay, was gonna uh set it all the way off. I didn't know when I was going off talking about I don't want no fucking check, right? I don't want no check. I don't want no piece of paper with some white dude's face on. I want something tangible. I remember, I'll never forget. Those were the days. That was some fire starting action. And here we are now because I'm still willing to be who I am. As a leader, I've realized several things. And any real leader knows all these things. A man who calls himself a father and prides himself on being a father is a leader, whether he realizes it or not. And so, for any man that calls himself a father and then calls himself not a leader, is a man that's confused in his mind. Ah, this is why I say you have to lead yourself. I'm talking to my brothers when I say that. My sisters who are without a strong man in their life, i.e., a father, or uncle, or brother, even a nephew, right on, or a cousin, somebody who you can look to and be like, that's the man that I know that when it all falls down, that's the person that I need to be around because they're going to keep me the safest. They're going to look out for my best interest the most with the greatest fervor. Right. And there's a whole lot of people who are living right now who don't have anyone like that. A lot of these young ladies are looking for somebody like that. And these men don't want to be leaders. They don't want to be in a position where they're in a relationship. They don't want to have to lead. They think leading is a woman laying on her back and then them being between her legs. They think that's being a leader. So, I mean, you see what I'm saying? This is the problem. The real reason they don't want to lead is because of that accountability factor. You know what's so crazy? The Most High God is pretty much telling us that I didn't make a mistake making people. I just pondered it and I just wondered if I made a mistake making it. The fact that that's even in a book, translated, transliterated like that, says that our leader, right, said that I'm gonna tell y'all something about me. Think about that. We don't have to wonder what his ways are because he shows us his ways. He is to be held accountable if that's what you feel. When he spoke to Moses and said, I'll get rid of everybody and keep just you. And Moses was like, hey, man, you got to repent for that evil. That was evil you spoke on the people. And Guess what? He repented. Some people will push back and say, well, that wasn't really the Most High God. That was just the Messiah who repented. Even if that's what you want to say, those who the Most High God is in charge of can be held to account. Right. He's not above accountability. The Creator's not above it. They can they can trash talk him right now if they want to. I wouldn't do that because they're going to be held to account themselves. But if they wanted to say, Father God, I want to know why we can't do this, this, and this. And when I'm talking about in terms to, being accountable. And he's like, well, haven't you sinned? And the Most High God, as I'm even saying that he sinned, he's like, but haven't you sinned while you've been on this earth? Have you been held to account for every little thing that you've done wrong? Yet you're alive and well and living, and you want to try to hold me to account for something where in which me being the true God of glory, I allow all things to practice what they, if you want to do something wrong, I'm not just going to get up and stop you. You're going to learn from what you've done. Right. Do you know that in the book of Enoch, one of the things that makes it to where the angels who did what they did can be held accountable is because they had leaders. Leaders. Someone in the front of the action and the idea. There is no movement without a leader. The angels don't come down from Mount Hermon and mate with the daughters of men if they don't have leaders who encourage them and pretty much tell them to do so. Now, sure, granted, they're all in league with one another and they make imprecations or they swear, right? Follow me. The fact that they call these individuals, who for all intents and purposes are wickedly evil, the fact that they're called leaders, right? And their actions can be held to account, whether you believe in them or not, whether you think that's real or not, for any story you want to use, right? If you want to talk about the Egyptian pantheon, the Roman, the Greek pantheon, any pantheon you can think of, the Celtic pantheon, okay, right? The Viking pantheon, Scandinavian, all these dudes, whatever you want to say, right? They're all going to have accountability and they all have leaders. They're not leaderless people. That's impossible. I need you to understand what I'm saying, everybody. You cannot be a people and not have leaders. It's impossible. It like goes against the whole formation of life. Animals born in the wild will have a leader of their group, of their herd, their pack, uh, 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 um, their flock, whatever you want to call it. Okay, their murder, yeah, you know what I'm talking about? Their gang, they will have a leader. There is no such thing as a leaderless movement. It does not exist. It's a fake thing. And only the talkivist, only somebody who speaks about things that they will never take action on will do that. I don't have to criticize anybody. Opening up a museum in a highly volatile city doesn't do anything for Black people, does nothing for them. That same money probably should be being used right now to help people who just went through the hurricanes. Wow. Once again, all these talkavists are so smart, they haven't even set up funds so that way each year when these things happen, people who need them the most, they call. There's an investigation done to make sure that everything can be verified that yes, you indeed truly do need this help, right? And then they get the fiduciary means that they need to get by. Wow, the financial means. I love that word fiduciary. I don't know why. It's just they made it up. I haven't looked into the etymology of the word. I don't even care. You know what I'm saying? But still, the point is this. They have not done that because they're talkivist. and they're not leaders. And that's the real reason why they don't want to be leaders, because then they can't be held account for anything like that because they've never put themselves in that position. They talk about reparations. Well, while you're waiting to be repaired, help your people stay. They're already broken. Right on. Get that broom out, get that dustpan, okay, and bring these pieces all together, pour them out gently, separate them, and start to see which ones you can put back together right now. Right. The best you can. But you can't tell me that you're not a leader, but you're a father. It's it's backwards. And you have people who've never fathered children who are calling themselves the thought leaders. You can't lead me in thought. Nigga, I think for myself. You think for yourself. Brothers and sisters, can't nobody tell you what to think, how to think, when to think, none of that. They can't not tell you what to think. No, they can't. It's impossible. They can speak words, you can hear them, and then you can give thought to their words, and you can give rise to the ideas that they want you to give a chance to think about before you cut them all the way off, but they cannot think for you. And the idea that they call themselves thought leaders, but they're not. So if you're a thought leader, so you can, you can lead my thought leads to my action. So you have to be my leader then. See what I'm saying? It's by default, as a matter of fact, de facto, okay? As a matter of fact, yes, you are their leader, whether you want to be or not. But they all claim to not be them. And this is like I said, the real reason why they don't want to be no damn leaders. Because they would have to actually be held to account for the lack of this and the lack of that. You can ask people to put money together for a museum, but you can't ask people to put money together so that way seasonally. We know from these months to these months, there's going to be some things that happen throughout the U.S., and we just want to have a fund put together. We have one for the West Coast, one for the North, one for the Midwest, one for the South, and one for the East Coast. Wow. Trusted Black accountants, because these guys have major followings. You think they can't get 5 or 6 Black accountants? One to cover all these different little areas, right on, where all this money is coming into, where the accountant gets paid a handsome reward to not be a thief. Right. Once again, I know I'm not their leader though. I'm not their leader, even though they follow what I say. They purposely go against the things that I would do, that I say that I would do, so that way they can show the discrepancy on how they think and how I think. I put the Most High God first. He's the first. He's the most important thing in my life. There's nothing more important than him. I don't have a life without him. So it's like everything that I've ever done, ever accomplished, I'm ever going to accomplish is because he allowed me to be here. It's not because I'm special, I'm smart, I'm brave, handsome, or none of that kind of dumb shit. It's because I believe that he really has a plan for me. I believe that every man is blessed with his blessing. And I'm gonna read something real quick. This way, and no, don't everybody ever forget this. And there rose up no more a prophet in Israel like Moses. So I don't think I'm nothing like that. I don't have to be anything like that. I just have to be me. And I know the impact that I've had right now, these last handful of years, has been so phenomenal that I'm blown away by things that I couldn't believe before because I just couldn't see it myself. But I'm seeing it play out and I am just flabbergasted, awestricken, you know, wow. That's how I feel. And I feel like I've been around people who, because they're leaders in their own honor, okay, in their own respected honor, they are leaders. And the life that they live, they can understand the role and the place that they played in helping me to become a more developed, polished person from then till now. Still a diamond in the rough, but but we've got a lot of the dirt off. We got a lot of that hard sediment that had been sitting there for decades, right? Parts that they thought were going to chip the diamond, but no, we got all that stuff off, and they're looking at it. They're like, "Well, this might be a flawless one, right? Almost we get all this. We might not have to do any kind of cuts to it. So this is why they're taking their time, and the time taken, and I'm starting to realize that I'm like, okay, I actually just might not need to be I might not need any of that refinement. I might just need to be cleaned up. That's it. So I'm willing to allow people to teach me so that way I can continue to see what sort of diamond it is that the Most High God has pulled from the dirt. So that way I can say, oh, I'm not even a diamond. I'm a sardius stone. I'm a topaz. I'm actually an amethyst. They just had it all wrong in the first place. Right on? Because I know that I'm a precious stone. And I know that the people that have been put around me are precious stones. And all I have to do is to continue to cultivate that energy so that way they believe that they know it and that it's not just you know it. I believe that I know this too. It's so woven into me that even when I come into a moment of someone questioning what it is that I believe in, I so stoutly believe that I know that I come to reasoning before I come to rage. And that being said, there are some works that I'm putting together. I know I always tell you guys this. Some stuff I just delete and get rid of. Other things I just put on hold because I just got crazy stuff going on. I got this work though. I just want to do the moon and the sun. I just want to just take all the pictures I got, every single one of them, and go through them, and then all the videos, and just look at them. And I just want everybody just to see what we've been seeing for these last months. And I can't help but to feel because I've taken pictures in the same places right around the same times, that they're gonna see like, man, this is crazy. He's not lying. Okay, even if you say that the earth is rotating, these buildings haven't moved, none of this stuff is moved. So how is the moon in a different location? How is the earth spinning and nothing, we don't feel none of it, right? Is it more, doesn't it just seem more likely that the earth stands still? That's why we can feel the wind, right? Doesn't that seem more likely that because the earth stands still, things flood? I mean, but once again, without a leader, things that make sense are overlooked. And everything is just part of an angry mob, part of a cult, part of some sort of secular. Uh, and I'm not even talking about like believing in what you believe. I'm talking about they have this by any means necessary attitude. But the man who said that got laid out by his own people. Like literally, not just by his own people, but by his own organization. Let that sink in. Most people don't want to hear this. This is just it's the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. We're gonna talk about it for a couple more minutes, then I'm gonna cut out, and I'm gonna get ready to keep living my life. I have a difficult road ahead of me. I went to court I had to call in for court the other day. I got a new judge again. This the umpteenth judge. It seems like I'm about to have another prosecutor again. Prosecutor had the nerve to call my case complicated. Really? You don't say. It's complicated that somebody who was a prosecutor is the only reason why I got out of mental health court. Don't we all think that's awkward? There's no leaders in the courthouse where I'm at. So nobody can be held to account. Nobody's the real. All the judges are supposed to be leaders, but they're not really leaders. So nobody's held to any sort of account. It's just a free for all. Right. Some cult stuff. Right. Why y'all think I'm angry mobs? Right. All those things that it shouldn't be, it is. Why am I the only person who thinks that's awkward? I mean, I'm not the only person, but I'm talking about the ones who are talking on this thing called YouTube. And they're lucky I don't get the kind of attention that they get, because if I did, I could cultivate a whole what they call a move, like a real movement. Salute, family. What's good, brother? I hope all is well with you, brother Brandon. I'm good, bro. I'm just talking about how brothers like yourself and brothers like Andre have been integral to my growth as a man and to my understanding and to me being able to get to this point to where I'm able to drop this fire ass lesson and this cold ass piece about how real leaders are held to account and they can be held accountable. And the real reason that these people who are called leaders don't want to be leaders is because they don't want to be held accountable. That's just too much for them. You know, you work every day, damn near. The days you don't work, you're still doing stuff for people. You're looking out for people. And of course, you enjoy yourself, but you're really actually actively doing shit, bro. And you got a lot of people who are like, I don't know, man. They're not doing anything. You get what I'm saying? It's like they're able to say words to us and say, "Oh, black people, I need y'all to donate so that way we can get this event center. We're gonna get it. We're gonna go pack it out. We're gonna have this guy come and speaking. We're gonna have this person come and speak, and we're gonna have this person come and speak." Okay, when do we get done talking and just take some action? When do we get done with all the talkavism? And I know I'm talking right now, but that's just what I'm asking though. I'm like, see, because I'm a man of action. I'm like, when do we get done with all the talkavism? When is that over? When is it okay to be like, you know what? We're taking action from here. We're gonna go here today and we're gonna do this. And they're gonna have to shut us all the way down. Or they're gonna have to give us all the education that we can get from it and then tell us, because what's happening right now, bro, is we're at a point in a junction where, like I said, it's literally do or die for most of us. I don't care how much money somebody has. It's do or die. And people can feel it. People can feel it, but it's upsetting that most people are just now starting to come to the it's do or die. Every day is do or die. Every time you get up, leave your home, every moment is do or die. That's where these guys don't get, they don't understand. You got people really out here, really like putting their lives on the line for what you call as a movement that doesn't have a leader. Let that sink in. People were able to go call King a coward to his face, spit on him, talk all kinds of nastiness to the man because he didn't want them to fight back during those protests. He was held to account when Malcolm X said things on TV about Elijah Muhammad. Huh? Let's talk about it now. They call him honorable. I don't know how honorable he is if you sleeping with little girls. Still, that not being my thing, my part is this right here is that man was held to account. Right. The Nation of Islam did not let him just fucking skate. You don't get to just say some shit like that and then walk away, playboy. Oh no, we gonna come see you. Malcolm can say, "Oh, had that bomb went off and did this, he should have been busting that AK anyway, but he was afraid of what the nation would do to his family because he understood. He said it himself. The Nation of Islam was a criminal organization that he himself helped to build. And it was the organization that was most capable of changing the black man, woman, and child position in America if they so chose to do it. That's what Malcolm X said. That got his ass cooked. And people want to talk to me about leaders and movements? What are they talking about? People don't even know the facts about the Nation of Islam. And ain't nobody who ain't never did the information gonna tell me nothing different. 2,500 members. They had 2,500 members, roughly, when your man Malcolm X got a hold of them. They blew that number up to like 250,000. That was the recorded number. They probably had more than that. After his murder and assassination, they've never been over 50,000, they say. Think about that for a second. 1/5 of you stayed. Right on? 1/5, 20% of them felt that the movement was still alive. The other 80% said, you know what, I gotta cut bait and run. This is too much. Y'all killed a real brother. And then put this other in front of us as the leader. Won't even go there. But we gotta talk about it since we're there. Name a movement, name a anything, anywhere where there is not somebody who can be held to account. That's just not how it works. This is why these homosexuals have been having their way for so long. These transgenders and all these other individuals. This is why. Because they don't have right. They're just they're a cult, a free-for-all, and an angry mob. They don't have no leaders. So this is why these dudes who were like, yo, if we do what they're doing, we'll get our way too. But they're not realizing the system is not built against homosexuals. Thank you. It's not. The system is built against people who look a certain way. If those people who look a certain way happen to be homosexuals too, then it's double against them. But once again, though, those same individuals will join themselves with an angry mob. Right. No leader. They don't need a leader. They're an angry mob. They're going to take what the fuck they want. Excuse my English. I'm tired of it. And everybody acts like, your boy be tripping, but we all know I'm not tripping. And before I roll out, I got to take a little drinky drink with y'all. Y'all know I love you. This some of that Jameson. Bloop. Little half shot. No, man, we can go all the way. Fuck it. That's what I'm saying. Salute. That's what I do. If y'all don't like it, you can say, Meech, I hate that you drink. I'm not gonna stop drinking, but you can still hold me accountable. Right. I'm not above that. I'm a grown man. I can take that. Right on. I don't have to ignore you or nothing. I don't have to be rude or trite or none of that. I can still be tactful while I tell you that, okay, I understand what you're saying, but I ultimately have the most agency over my life. I get to choose how I do things. These guys are saying, "Oh, I'm sober. I don't do." Okay, well, be like that, right on. But while you still going crazy like the rest of us, and you have no release for all that anguish, I'm able to let it go because these chemicals allow for all the other chemicals in my mind start to be released throughout my body. So I'm able to let those things literally go throughout my body, and then they will go eventually. Come on. They'll pass as waste. Come on. That's how you have to be. But if you don't believe in the alchemy, the magic, and what they call spirits, wine and beer, spirits, if you don't think that there's some kind of frequency, or energy there, you're tripping. There is. I'm just your brother to say it because I want you to know where I stand on these things. I ain't trying to make nobody drink nothing. I'm trying to tell you that I can logically break down to you why I do what I do. I'm not leaning on I don't gotta put it off on Noah or be no sucker like that. I don't even have to say, oh, drink and be married. Right. Just the basis of that alone. It literally helps your body's chemical balance for whenever you're stressed out or something like that. All those chemicals can't coexist in the same area because it's in your bloodstream. The blood goes to your brain. Those same chemicals all can't stay there. All that shit can't stay there. So it has to release itself throughout your body. This is basic science I'm trying to break down to the people. I think Cat Williams said that weed has something in it called fuck it. But really, what he was trying to say was when it's in your bloodstream and it goes through your mind and it removes some of the chemicals, the chemical balance structure is changed. Therefore, you don't feel the same. It's not called escapism. The same way if you were in any other kind of pain, a doctor would give you medication. This is self-medication. You just can't over-medicate. That's the key. That's called discipline. That's also called what? Accountability. That's why I say you're your own leader. You have to be. It's the only logical thing that makes sense. But if you're not your own leader and you don't have a leader and you're just in a movement, you're part of a cult, my friend. Angry mob. I know. That's the crazy part. So everybody who's here right now, who's going to see it, got to start understanding that you are watching, you are around people who are probably listening to the individuals I'm talking about. You know, a lot of people will try to say, man, we're Native Americans. We're natives. This is our land. The only pushback I have for them is like, okay, well, if this is, truly our land, right? I mean, and it's no question our land, right? Where are the animals that are in the Bible? Right. I've never heard of a giraffe being here other than the zoo. Say that again. Never. Never seen a lion over here. No, never. Can't say that I have. See what I'm saying? Basic little things like that. But that's not trying to be rude. That's like a let's just shake it all up real quick. The Native Americans, hell, most black people you know are not circumcised. Wow. How hard is that? Like most black people you will meet, most black men, no matter what so-called whatever group they're supposed to be from, most of them are not circumcised. That's something to think about. Right. But yet they're supposed to be Hebrews. And I know the Hebrews, the real people, the children of Abraham, practice circumcision. So what are they talking about? And this is how I know that when people say the things that they say, like they don't understand the logic, like the scientific logic, whatever you want to call it, the medical logic behind it, to circumcise a child when they're 8 days old as opposed to wait until you're 14. Who's going to feel that the most? Okay, then. Basic sense. Like, oh, the baby is. Are you sure? Are you really sure? The pain they're going to register, but are you sure they're really going to feel that more than a 14-year-old? Okay. Stuff like that. Yes, because 14 years old is when Muslims typically circumcise their children, their sons. How I know this is because that's how old Ishmael was when he was circumcised. Right. Once again, leaders, they have a leader, so they follow a certain thing. Right on? When they were fighting against Al Qaeda, the Taliban, ISIL, whatever you want to call them, right? They were looking for their leaders. The ideology is not their leader. People are their leaders. Otherwise, why would you kill them? Killing anybody, right? Thank you. That's backwards. You can kill anybody and have the same effect then. No, but if I kill these individuals, the effect is extra special. Anybody else other than me find that to be amazing? That these guys here will say that the Taliban, same dudes who would tell you that the Taliban, they're led by an ideology, not leadership. So why do they call these guys leaders when they kill them? Top commander, top leader, top general, right? The head of. Am I tripping? Okay, since we all pretty much agree that I'm not tripping, then let's put this all together. We've got individuals who will claim and tell us that no, by no means stretch of the imagination are they the leader of anything. The movement, the ideology, the angst, right? The angst is the leader. That's right, brother. That's right, brother. They murdered all the right leaders, right? Not some random schmuckatelli, right? Medgar Evers was a leader. Word? Do y'all understand that? He was a leader. Whether people want to talk shit about Huey, oh, Huey was smoking crack when they smoked Huey. Huey was a leader. Those niggas who killed Huey should have gave that nigga some crack, let him get high, then took his ass to rehab. You don't fucking murder somebody like that. You got the same niggas who will say that they're not leaders will brag about Huey getting killed in California. Did you hear me? The same dudes who will say they're not leaders have bragged that Huey got that work in California. How sad is that? Right, because they're not a leader of a move, because they're not actually in charge of nothing. I'm not the one that they're gonna want to come kill. Right, ADOS will stay living forever. So says, Yvette Carnell and Tone. So says Professor Schmuckatelli. FBA will be around forever. So says the so-called Black Authority. Right, B1 is forever. Is it? Is it really? If they get rid of you, is it really forever? That's the question. If they bump Tariq off, and I hope nothing happens to the brother, because I want him to see that that you claiming to not be a leader in this next year to come, gonna bite you in the ass. Yes, it is. Because the year of the vigilante will be nothing to the year of the coward. Oh, oh, oh. Didn't hear that coming, huh? Don't worry though. The year of the vigilante almost over. The year of the coward gonna usher itself in. It's gonna go down. It's gonna go down. And I don't even know if I call it coward or should I just call it like like the like the crafty. You know what I'm saying? But it's still weak though. I can't call it cowardly because what they're gonna do is be hella violent. So we're gonna have to think of a better name than that. I hope somebody, anybody, everybody. We don't have to be today or tomorrow, but just when you think of a good name of this next year, because the year of the vigilante was a very appropriate year. But when we come back up another notch, okay, Emerald Lagasse style, this shit's gonna get turned up. Not because not because it has to, but because it has to. Do you follow what I'm saying? I'm not saying it has to be like that, but I'm saying it has to happen. It has to happen. So, hey, they touched up all the leaders in the 60s, got the rest of them in the 70s. Who could have been leaders into 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 uh into self-proclaimed rebels and freedom fighters, aka gang members who were still gang leaders. Right. Turned all the real who could have been the next generation leaders and to gangbangers and drug addicts and to murder victims, huh? And to the indigent. These guys walking around right now, 50 years old, almost about to be 50, and talking about, oh, uh, people say this about me and my past and my former life and this, that, the other. Here's the thing. If most of the people who were around you during that time are no longer here or locked up, right? Who's to say any different? And if all the individuals who live around you did some shady shit to get to where they're at, who are they to speak about you or to speak on you? Thank you. It's backwards. There are no leaders. These are the reason why they don't want. There are none because they don't want there to be any. But don't worry, when you look in the mirror, the next time you look in the mirror, just know that you're looking at a real leader. The next time you look at yourself, you're like, yeah, that is me. I'm the best version of me I've ever been because I'm a leader. And a real leader, we leave on this note. Anyone can tell someone what to do. Everyone cannot show somebody the way. In order to be a real leader, you must know how to follow, that you may lead eventually. And when you lead, you will lead effectively. A leader is not afraid of accountability, nor does he shirk his duties, neither does he put his obligations upon another. A leader is not to seek or to desire a greater reward than his people. He is to be among his people, that the people may embrace him. I salute you, my brothers and my sisters. Salute you again. I ask that tomorrow be better than today, and that your next week be better than this last. May the Most High God continue to be with us as we grow as people, as we get older, and we become wiser within our own minds. You are your own thought leader. Like I said years ago, I am really here just to make you think. Don't worry, Dane. We know where you got that from too.